Good morning from Vietnam. Good evening, my dear Dharma friends. Um, when Unsan asked me if I would deliver the Dharma Talk this week, I uh, I was first honored. Uh, it's the new moon tonight. Tonight will be a new moon, and you all know I like to, or I strive to renew my bodhisattva vows on the new moon and on the full moon. So I figured this was a good time for me to renew that vow of sharing the Dharma at any opportunity. And I had been contemplating uh, a particular passage from Dahui's book, Swampland Flowers. And that's the inspiration of my Dharma talk today. And so I called this Dharma talk Dahui's Great Koan of Life and Death. Did you notice in our last 15 minutes of meditation, the stillness, the quiet, kind of an escape, isn't it? When we meditate, we have this great escape. And it's easy in moments like this that we want to build a wall around this peaceful feeling, a wall that kind of shuts out all the happenings of life. And we want to hold it like a sanctuary. And then the 15 minutes is up and life hits us right in the face again. So no matter how hard we try to escape from the world, as all of us know, life does not stay safely inside in a weekly Zen sit. It just doesn't. Life goes on. Lately, our Sangha, members of our Sangha, including myself, have been walking through some deep waters. Some of us are grieving the death, serious illness of a family member or close friends. I had a close friend who just passed away in California a week ago. Others are standing in the middle of massive life changes. Relationships, health, jobs, identity untangling. Changes that feel, in every real sense, like a personal death. And Zen practice was never meant to be a refuge from our human reality. It's the place where we meet reality directly, with open hands and undivided hearts. Tonight, I want to sit with one line that has stayed with me all week long. It comes near the end of a letter I'm about to read to you from Dahui. And it is, I think, the whole teaching in a simple sentence. And it is this: put it down where it cannot be put down. I'll say that again. Put it down where it cannot be put down. Hold that phrase loosely as we go, because everything else I talk about tonight is just walking towards that one phrase. Put it down where it can't be put down. To help us get there, I want to turn, as I said, to Swampland Flowers, to letter 41, written by that great 12th century Chan master Dahui Zonggao. Dahui didn't teach in a secluded mountain monastery, talking to monks who had left the world behind. He was a master of lay practice. He wrote letters to householders, officials, parents, people navigating political turmoil, sudden illness, grief, and daily responsibility, just like us. He spoke to people just like us. In letter number 41, called Facing Death, Dahui didn't offer a smooth spiritual platitude to soften the blow. He offered a sharp, direct pointer to layman Chen Li Jian's life. Layman Chen's death clearly wasn't imminent, or Dahui would not have been writing it. His letter would have arrived too late. Chen was facing something in his life that felt like death, or facing an impending end to life as he knew it. Dahui wrote this: "You report that the last day of your life has already arrived. You should contemplate just like this in your daily activities. And then the mind of worldly affliction will naturally come to an end. When the mind of affliction has come to an end, then the next day, as before, early spring is still chilly." An ancient worthy said, "If you want to know the meaning of Buddha nature, you must observe times and seasons, causes and conditions." This melting away of mind, this melting away of the mind of affliction is the time and season of old Yellowface appearing in the world and achieving Buddhahood. The time and season of his sitting upon the diamond seat, vanquishing armies of delusive demons, turning the wheel of the Dharma, delivering sentient beings, and entering nirvana. It's no different from the time you've called the last day of your life. To get here, just contemplate like this. This contemplation is called correct contemplation. If you don't distinguish incorrect from correct, you won't avoid shifting and changing, following after the times and seasons of others. If you want to get so you aren't following times and seasons, simply abandon it at once. Put it down where it can't be put down. Don't take these words either. As before, it's just you, layman. There's no other man besides. When layman Chen writes to Dahui saying, "The last day of my life has already arrived," he isn't speaking in metaphors. He is standing in the middle of a personal end, a loss so total that his former world is gone. Dahui's response is radical. He tells him that when this mind of affliction melts away, quote, then the next day, as before, early spring is still chilly. Early spring is still chilly. This is where so many of us fall into this trap of seeing some sort of spiritual bypass. We come to the cushion, to our meditation chair, wherever we sit, hoping that Zen will make us immune to pain. We hope it'll make us immune to grief or lift us above the shock of life changing beneath our feet. We think awakening means reaching a state where nothing hurts. Dahui cuts that illusion down instantly. Dropping affliction doesn't mean the weather changes. Loss hurts. The death of a loved one brings sorrow. Major life transitions tear through us. The cold, early spring air really is cold. The pain is the first arrow. The affliction, what the Buddha called klesha, is the second arrow. Affliction is the secondary story we wrap around the cold, our resistance, our panic, our demand that life be different than it is, and our dualistic separation of ourselves from reality. Suffering isn't the chilly air. Suffering is our war against the chill. Dahui goes on and tells us in a lot of his stories, drop the second person. When a friend dies or life falls apart, our habit is to split reality into two. Subject, me, suffering, surviving. An object, the loss. Something happening to me from the outside. We create a second person in our minds, an external monster called grief or death that we feel we must fight, solve, or manage. You can catch this second person appearing in a single thought. The moment you find yourself thinking, why is this happening to me? That's it. That's the second person, standing, already at war with what is. Dahui reminds us to drop the second person. He writes, as before, it's just you, layman. There is no other man besides. Life and death are not events happening to us. They are the very movement of what we are. Dahui isn't asking us to transcend our human existence. He's asking us to stop creating a secondary war against reality. When we stop trying to be spiritual practitioners dealing with a hard time and simply become the cold, the sorrow, or the change itself. Without a second person looking on, the affliction. The Buddha, sitting under the Bodhi tree on the diamond seat, facing the armies of Mara, is not an ancient historical event from 2,500 years ago. It is the exact moment when you sit still with your own grief, your own fear, or your own uncertainty without turning away. So how do we practice this when the burden feels unbearable? Dahui gives us the ultimate practice pointer. Put it down where it can't be put down. This is the great koan of ordinary life. Dualistic practice says, I'm carrying a heavy weight, so I must figure out how to drop it. But how do you drop the death of a parent? How do you put down a broken heart or the loss of one's life's work? You can't put those down, like sitting down a heavy briefcase or putting down a heavy box. They occupy the whole room. To put it down where it can't be put down means you stop looking for an exit. You sit directly in the center of what feels unmanageable without trying to fix it, to rationalize, or escape it. You surrender the demand to resolve the unresolvable. When you stop trying to drop the grief and simply allow it to be fully what it is, the distinction between you and the grief disappears. There's no extra room for a sufferer. The burden drops itself. Dahui ends his letter with the ultimate return to ordinary mind. as before. It's just you, layman. There's no other man besides. Awakening doesn't turn you into a magical being who walks 3 feet above the ground. You remain who you are, a lay practitioner, drinking tea, feeling the chilly spring air, mourning a friend, chopping wood, carrying water, sitting on a cushion. Dahui points us towards this moment through stillness, sitting inside what can't be resolved until the war against it quiets. Dogen points us towards the same ground from the opposite direction, urgency. Before we move back to our cushion for our second round of meditation, I'll bring his reminder that Unsan brings to us every week. Life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken! Take heed. Do not squander your life. Let that line sit in just for a moment. It's not a scold from Dogen. It's an invitation to wake up to the immediacy of our lives, to the fact that the very ground beneath us can change without warning. Sometimes we feel that change in the marrow of our bones. Sometimes it really hurts. Zen practice is not a refuge from this reality. It is the place where we meet it directly with open hands and undivided hearts. Accept the cold air just as it is. Grief and its weight. Change in every moment of our existence. Sit with it, not to change it, but to accept it without duality.